Well, I hope you're ready to cook with Rock, because today we're making these Presa steak burnt ends. So think burnt ends, but think pork this time. These things are juicy, sticky, sweet, smoky, absolutely delicious. I think it's something that you should put in the mix and have it as an appetizer for your next cookout this summer. Come on, let's check this one out. All right, so let's get into making these Presa steak burnt ends. So we're gonna use this Presa steak. It's an Iberico cut of pork, so it's a very specific kind of pork that is just super rich, super deeply marbled, and it just kind of melts in your mouth when you do these. So these will be great for burnt ends. So very similar to what you would get with a brisket burnt end, but this is just a pork version, but probably a little bit deeper in meat than like a pork belly burnt end. So kind of like an in-between between the two, but alternative for going with a pork route instead of beef. So I'm gonna jump right in. So this is real close to 2 pounds. And so we're gonna cut this up and cube this up, and then we're gonna get them seasoned and throw them on the smoker. So just jump right in there and get started. So as you can see, this thing is like insanely marbled. You can just see all that deliciousness. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'm not gonna cut off a whole lot. I'm gonna feel around, see if there's something that's like super hard from a fat content perspective. That's not gonna render down as much. Then we're gonna cut that, but for the most part, I'm gonna leave just about everything. And actually, I'm not feeling much here. So we're actually just gonna cube this up because we're gonna low smoke these. All that fat's gonna render down and it's gonna turn into delicious, delicious flavors. So for easy transport to and from the smoker, I'm gonna cube these up and place this on the wire rack, and then we'll season them from there. But to get started is to take a super sharp knife and kind of just gauge where I'm at with it and then get it into my cube. I'm gonna toss these in a binder, so we'll just throw them on there. We'll toss them in a binder and cook them up. But as you can see with this, the marbling is just absolutely insane on the inside of this. So all that internal fat's gonna render down. And it's just gonna make delicious chunks of bites of heaven. So I like doing this a little bit too, where as you can see, this one's quite a bit bigger than maybe these two, but I have kids and serving different people, and so some want bigger bites, some want smaller bites. So I don't mind if they're all not exactly uniform, but I do try and make them as close to uniform as I can. Look again there, you can just see all that marbling. It's just absolutely amazing. All right, so now I got this all cubed up. I'm gonna take all these. You could certainly just take them and drizzle the mustard binder that I'm gonna use on these, but I just like to go ahead and throw them in here in a bowl. As with most recipes, a binder is totally optional. I'm gonna use yellow mustard. It's just gonna help the rub adhere and stick just a little bit better. It's something that if I had a little more time, I would maybe season these, put them in the fridge for an hour or so, let the seasoning really adhere. But here, I'm usually in a bit of a hurry as I'm cooking for my family, and so that's where I go into things like binders and such to kind of speed up some of the process. And so just get my hands in there and coat these up real nice. Okay. And I'm gonna season all sides, so we're just gonna lay them out. Now what I'm looking to do here is I'm looking to space them evenly because I wanna get smoke around all edges of these. But as you'll see here in a minute, kind of take my best guess, and I'll probably have to move some stuff around just to make it all fit. So we'll get some of these moved. So now with any rubs, you know, you can kind of go for your favorite things. I'm gonna use my Rock's coffee rub. I love this rub for pork, beef, things of that nature. It's got like an umami flavor with it, kind of a bold flavor. Don't really as much need it here, but the coffee seems to also tenderize and soften the meat a little bit. This is gonna be super soft and luxurious, but it's just something that it does do. When I'm doing any sort of pork, I really like to go with something that's got some paprika in it, some of those red hues, and anything that's got some good pepper, that's gonna pull some of that smoke flavor in. So as with anything, we're just gonna try and get up a little bit, try and do our best to season all sides and coat them all real good. Now these can be a little bit time consuming and tedious, but one of the tricks I like with burnt ends is now that I've done this and I've got a good amount of over pour, take this to the side and I just grab each of these and just kind of roll them around in it. That's gonna get a good amount of the sides that I don't have seasoned. It's also gonna use up all the seasoning that I've got just laying here on the board. All right, as you can see, I've got all these seasoned up with my Rock's coffee rub, and they're gonna be ready to go on the smoker. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check about an hour and a half in, kind of see where they're coming. What I'm gonna look for is for the rub to adhere really nicely. I'm also gonna look for internal temperature and kind of see where we're going at that. I'm gonna try and get it to about 170, 175 before I put them into the wrap, which we'll go through in a little bit. All right, so we got the Traeger Timberline XL up to temp. We're getting up to 250 degrees. We're gonna run these things for about 2.5 hours. We're really gonna focus on getting that rub adhered, get that nice deep red color, and then we're going to also check them for about 170 to 175 internal, and that's when we'll put them into the bath. We're also gonna throw an aluminum pan underneath just to kind of catch some of the drippings. One, it keeps the grill a little cleaner. Two, those drippings are delicious. It'll be a part of our wrap when we get to that point. All right, these were right at about 2 hours. I hit them with the probe and they were probing out at 165, 170, 165. So they're all right, kind of in that same range. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get these moved over. We're gonna sauce them up and then we're gonna throw them back in the smoker to finish off the cook. So just like a lot of other burnt end recipes, I go very similar. I've got a beef burnt end recipe that I do with chuck roast that I do like this. Obviously, if I'm doing burnt ends from a brisket, do it very similar as well. But we brought it up, got it to about 170 internal. Then I'm gonna take all these, just gonna throw them in this pan. Again, this was the pan that I was using to catch some drippings. So I got just a little extra of that fat that rendered down off of these delicious little nuggets. What we're gonna do is we're gonna throw all these into the bucket. All right, now I got everything in my pan. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of butter in there. So even though it's cut up a little different, it's really about 2 tablespoons of butter. You can go a little more, a little less, kind of preference. Then I'm gonna take and apply some brown sugar into there. Just gonna tack everything up real nicely. I'd probably say that's maybe 1/4 cup, a little bit of about a handful. Next, I'm gonna use some of my Irish whiskey barbecue sauce. So it's gonna give us a little bit of spiciness to it, a little bit of smokiness, a little bit of tanginess. And this I'm probably doing 1/2 cup, maybe 3/4 cup. Again, just kind of doing it to what I think looks good and is kind of covering everything up. Last but not least, we're gonna add a little bit of honey. And last, a little bit of honey. Now I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna cover them up. All right, I got these covered up. I'm gonna throw them back in the smoker. I'm gonna crank the smoker up to 275 degrees and roll for about another 45 minutes to an hour, and then we're gonna check them again. All right, we've got the Presa steak, burnt ends. They came out delicious looking. I can't wait to open these up and show you guys what they look like. So as a reminder, put these on the smoker, on the rack, smoked them uncovered for about 2.5 hours at 250 degrees. After that, threw them into the pan, put in some barbecue sauce, some brown sugar, some butter, a little bit of honey, covered them up, let them roll for about another hour to hour and 15 minutes until they were probe tender. That's when I pulled them off, let them sit for just a little bit, and just look at how these things turned out, man. They just look absolutely amazing. So you just look at those, just little pork nuggets for that first bite. Wow. Those things are amazing. So tender, so juicy. I don't think you'd realize that this is not beef, quite honestly. It is so delicious, just kind of melts. It's definitely a recipe you should try out. I encourage you to put something in the comments, tell me what you think. And I hope if you like this, you're willing to like, follow, and subscribe so you can see all these great recipes and all the new ones that are coming out this summer.